Right, yeah, so welcome back, guys. We're here at the Gardener's Arms tonight, venue 77. We're being hosted here by Jack. How are you doing, mate, tonight?
Yeah, good, thank you very much.
Good. We've got Mark and we've got Kieron as well. How are you doing, boys?
Yeah, good, mate.
Yeah, good, Kieron?
Doing quite well, actually.
Yeah. Well, good 4-0 win last night. Obviously, this filmed on Wednesday and shown on the Thursday, but we got a win yesterday. But firstly, we're here at the Gardener's Arms. Jack, can you tell us more about the place?
Yeah, so basically I just want to take this opportunity to show you guys why we're a really good sports venue, football venue. It's a good place for everyone to come and watch games. We basically got 5 different channels, so we can show you 5 different games at one point. So it's a good place to come and put an acca on. Yeah. Can't miss any of the actions from all 5 games. You've also got 14 TVs inside, 1 outside. So literally, if you're speaking to a mate and you've turned round, you're going to have a screen behind him and in front of you. Everywhere you look, there's literally TVs, so you're not going to miss any of the action here at all. Also, for the bigger games, maybe Ipswich Norwich, hopefully next season again, we'll agree. We'd have the venue open. Yeah. So that enables us to have the projector screen down, which is 4 metres times 2 metres. So that's one of the biggest projector screens in the town, I believe. So that atmosphere just really builds with that, really. We've had World Cup games here, Euro games here as well, so that's been really good. Also, we're implementing something soon, hopefully in the coming weeks. If you come here on a match day wearing your Ipswich Town shirt, you're going to be able to get happy hour prices on beers and wines and various other selected drinks. So that will give you, it'll be $3.80 for an Atlantic Pale Ale, where usually that would be 40p more, and usually you're getting about 60p off on prices if you're wearing your Ipswich Town shirt on match days. Also, we offer free pool on Tuesdays. We do free jukebox on Fridays. Various different offers which keep you along, keep you entertained during the week.
But yeah. Cool, you sold it there, mate.
There's a lot going on. I think we're definitely going to have to come down here on a match day now.
You sold it to me, mate. I don't know about everyone else watching, but definitely be down here. Anyway, Jack, from your point of view, Ipswich fan, just give us your kind of consensus about this season so far.
Well, the biggest thing for me is the atmosphere. I think we'll all agree. The fans we're re-engaged with the club, something which we haven't had for the past maybe 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. And it's the atmosphere at games, something I've been a season ticket for 8 or 9 years, and I have not experienced this until now. I'm finally walking to games with a spring in my step. Yeah. Actually looking forward to see some goals at the Sir Alf Ramsey stand, which sometimes I remember going through months without seeing a goal there, and it would always be at the North Sound end. Yeah. But no, the club's going really well. We're bringing through youngsters, but also as well as that, with the experienced players going out, we're giving them an opportunity to learn their coaching badges. Players like Scouse and Chambers, we're giving them an option to further their careers, and they're not going to be around forever. No. So hopefully in the next few years they'll become part of the coaching staff. Yeah, 100% really
agree. And do you think that it's important for local businesses such as yourselves to grow with the club in this period?
Oh, of course, yeah. You can see when you come past Gardener's Arms, we've got the flag riding high in the sky in the car park, and it all creates the atmosphere together. We can get behind the club can get behind us, and build the atmosphere before the games. That's what you want in the town, really, in a small town like Ipswich.
Bring everyone together, don't it? Well, thanks for having us firstly tonight, and I know you need to get back to work now, but we'll get on with our stuff, and we'll probably catch up here in a little while, all right? Cheers for that, buddy. Nice speaking to you. So, that was Jack from the Gardener's Arms, and they've put on a good spread for us tonight, and get down here. So, yes, back with Mark and Kieron. Boys, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, good, mate.
Feeling good? Feeling good? Yeah? Decent. So, we'll fly into it, but we'll start, a bit closer to where we are in the week with the Leeson.com trophy. Firstly, welcome back to the 12th Man. I keep missing this one every week. Welcome back to the 12th Man. It's now a regular show on a Thursday night, 7:30. You can't miss it. So make sure you tune into the channel. Make sure you subscribe. We are bang on 2,000 subscribers, as far as I'm aware. So we've made it, but we're looking further than that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and keep going. This is Ipswich Town fans' #1 channel. No doubt about that at all. So, Lisa.com trophy last night, boys. No love lost between Evans and Lambert, was there?
No, certainly not. Obviously, we were a little bit further away, down in Section 6, couldn't really see what was going on, but I think there's a lot made of it before the game, but obviously our strength in depth showed, and we right royally spanked them, really.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Steve Evans is too happy from what I've been hearing, but, yeah, produced a better team, mate, honestly.
Yeah. Well, Kieron, we made 9 changes, and did we really look out of sorts last night? We looked good, didn't we?
Yeah, no, we did. I was sat essentially behind the goal in the Bobby Robson stand. And literally, it looked as if we were a completely different team to what we were last season.
Yeah.
We played with, bounce. We actually played with intent to score. And when Will Keane scored the 4th goal, it looked as if the entire Ipswich Town fan base was, together with that. They cheered, they jeered. Steve Evans didn't have a minute where he wasn't being moaned at by the Ipswich Town fans, and I'm pretty sure at one point even by his own fans.
Yeah.
And the players that played, Mizuni, Dobra, Enciala, they really work well together. And I think, with a bit more experience under their belt, especially for Dobra and Mizuni, they really could do well in this team. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're first team players either next season or even probably later this season.
That's an interesting point you come up with. Those players that are playing really well, you'd say they're in between under 23 football and first team football, but not quite good enough to beat those first team players that are in there at the moment. The players that we do have in there, in my opinion, aren't really challenged by these players. Although I would be looking over my shoulder if I was one of them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think Judge has got the ability for at least another 4 or 5 years probably, but I think he has to look behind himself to see the players that are coming up are very talented players, and I think he has to understand that if he drops off even slightly, he's in a position where he could lose it quite quickly, because there are a lot of players in the under 23s and the reserves who do have that ability in the attacking midfield role and in the right wing role that could force their way into the team if he even drops slightly.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, Andre Zell, he can play very up ahead of the central midfield, and he can do really well with his right foot, like his dad.
Yeah, definitely 100% agree with that. Town have reached the knockout stage after 2 wins. Very comfortable in this competition at the moment. As you look at it, if you look at the league table, we're the top seeds in this competition to actually go through to the final. Let's not get too cocksure, but let's say it's an opportunity to get to Wembley, isn't it, Mark? Should we take it?
Well, we aren't going to go there domestically in the league because we're champions don't get to go to Wembley, unfortunately. So we have to find other means to get there. And as much has been made about the competition, it's another trophy we can win. And I think we've got such depth in this squad. It'd be nice for some of them players who may not have had a starring role in the league as yet to actually produce, some special memories for them in another competitions. You look at El Mazzini and Dobra. I do question why they aren't close to the first team, because I think they genuinely should be pushing there. But unfortunately, Paul Lambert can only pick 18 players for his matchday squad, and some players are going to suffer. So for these sorts of players, it's a great experience. And as we go potentially later into this competition, we're going to be coming up against stronger sides. Teams will take it a bit more seriously than they are at the moment. So it's a great opportunity for them. So there's no reason why, the way things are, we can't go as far as possible. In this competition, really.
You said there about players that could come in, potentially Dober and El Mazzini, but Hughes is someone it's like a Rolls Royce kind of footballer, a player you'd love to have in your side. But although Hughes plays well, he doesn't really get a chance to get into the first team. Would you agree with that?
No, I'd agree with that. Yeah, since he joined us from I can't remember who it was now, so long ago.
Cardiff.
Yeah, Cardiff. He's done so well in the short appearances he's got with the team, but I think with his ability he needs to be more consistently in the team rather than in and out, swapped around sort of thing. But the problem is the formation that Lambert plays, it's very difficult to actually fit every single player in, and like you said, you can only pick 18 players and you can't sort of force everyone into the team, and picking 2 strikers, 2 wingers, 2 midfield and 2 centre mids and 4 defenders is kind of difficult when you have such talent to work with.
Yeah, players we did see last night, ones that I can think of that played really well. Kieron Edwards came on second half and put in a really good shift, and was doing a lot down the right that we were used to seeing from him when he was fit. I still think he's struggling for fitness, and that's probably why we're seeing a lot of under-23 cup action from him. Like Keane's coming sporadically and not really giving in a shift. But I'm happy with the performances of the guys, and I said it last night. So comfortable. It was the least emphatic 4-0 victory I think I've ever watched.
We've had 2 of them. The Bolton game is exactly the same. I think we left there feeling like it was 5-0. It's because so expected. Like, I don't think anyone expected us to win 4-0, but like the nature and the actual, how the game was going, we were surprised it was only 4, to be honest. It's very comfortable. I can't actually remember a Gillingham chance, in all honesty.
No.
Norris could have probably had a deck chair, to be honest. He was that comfortable back there. But yeah, it's one of them things, as much as it was comfortable, it's good for these guys to get minutes, and hopefully they can start pushing some of the first team regulars if performances start to drop off a little bit, which is good.
Yeah. And it does benefit our large squad. I know we said at the start of the season we wanted to come in with 22 players. Well, Lambert said that, made it quite clear. We came in over the mark. I think we had 26, 27 players. We seem to be adding to that squad every now and again now with youngsters, and they've dropped off at the start of the season but come back in, and one of those is McGavin, who came in last night into the squad. But Tommy Hughes is one I've never even heard of. No. Got included last night, along with Tyrese Simpson. These players are making their first team debuts at 16 or 17. Is it a bit too soon, or are they well deserved to get a game for the first team?
I don't really know. Like you say, I don't really know about them, but the old adage is if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah.
Those, and like we say, there's going to be a time where Chambers, Scouse and others, they're going to come to an end, and we're not going to be a club that's going to go and spend 5-10 million, or even 3 is probably a bit of a push for us to replace these players. Sometimes it might be someone coming through our academy. I'm not sure where Tommy Hughes plays. He scored a worldie today in the under-23s game.
I think he's an attacker.
He's an attacker. He came on and played CDM. So God knows where he's supposed to be playing. But yeah, Simpson again looked comfortable when he came on. There's no reason why. Ultimately it's probably better that there's players that we don't know about coming through than potentially players we do, because we get sort of ahead of ourselves with all these youngsters coming in. We've been told X, Y and Z is going to be the next big thing. A lot of the time it's someone who comes from absolutely nowhere, like Flynn Downs, who's actually the Rolls Royce of players that we've got in our academy, really.
And it comes to a point in January where we're going to have to look and see, do we need any extra legs? At this moment in time, we're at the start of October, we're a month and a half away from January. Really, are we going to be needing to strengthen?
I think with regard to bringing more players, I think it's only really required if people get injured.
Yeah.
And with our team, we have been quite unlucky in the last few years with injuries happening just after the transfer window ends, and it's caught us a bit off guard with it all. Like a few years back when we got the playoffs with McCarthy, we were doing so well up until January. Then 2 or 3 people got injured, and we sort of just faltered and fell down to the playoff places, and we barely got them. So I think bringing new players is good, but only as a sort of precaution rather than sort of you're in the first team guaranteed.
Yeah.
And going back to players like Tyrese Simpson, Tommy Hughes, if it wasn't for games like Football Manager and that, I wouldn't know who they were myself. No. But I think they have got quite a lot of talent with themselves. And I saw Tommy Hughes score that goal against in the under-23s, and he did very well to get that goal. Because I think he's a centre mid more than an attacker, and I think, to be fair, he's got quite a lot of pace and quite a lot of attacking ability on him, but he's very good in the defence, so he can pull back when he needs to.
Yeah.
And bringing in players for that position isn't really required if we can just put in a younger player every now and then.
Yeah.
Like if, for instance, in a cup game we can just rest some first team player and then play someone like Tommy Hughes or Will Keane or something.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think Lambert's not shied away from the fact that we may need to become completely dependent on our youth system at some point in the future. It's nice to see so many new faces coming through. I mean, in the last 2-3 years, we're having these players come through, absolute gems coming through. I mean, since Teddy Bishop, who's come through, we've had Flynn Downs, Dazell's come through, Wolfenden's come through, we've had Lancaster come through, Dobra is another one who's just looking absolutely incredible. I mean, the players that are coming in, I mean, you forget the likes of Emmanuel and Kenlock who have been there for so long that they're actually now just backup players rather than actually being first team players. Well, Emmanuel's obviously moved on, but those kinds of players are coming in and actually putting in a shift, and to be honest, they're not out of sorts. Are they the reason we got relegated last season? No, I don't think they are. I think it was a mixture of youth with too little experience and too much kind of, work in progress. But anyway, let's just turn it back. Anyway, we're flying high at the top of the league. Fleetwood, Mark on Saturday. What a journey that was, mate.
That was a bit. I'd like to apologise on anyone on Coach 1 if you're now inflicted with the man flu. If it's any consolation, I'm feeling a lot better. So
it's only a 3-day virus then?
Yeah, exactly. I'll recommend it to you, honestly. Don't listen to, sleep and bed rest or Cavonia or paracetamol. 14 hours on a coach and a dose of limbs makes you feel the world of good.
You couldn't really call that limbs on Saturday, could you?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, we nearly lost the camera again, didn't we?
Oh, God, mate, you need to look after those wires, I tell you. Too many times this season we've lost wires that connect us to our microphone and cameras, and it's really causing us a lot of issues. Yeah. But 560-mile round trip, 5 a.m. till 12:30 a.m. Bus journey was enjoyable, so if you ever think about getting the bus via Ipswich Town, it's quite comfortable. You may need to deal with complaints from other people on the coach, but I didn't have any face-to-face, so nothing really happened. But you said a dose of limbs there. We, as a fan base, we took 1,100 to the longest away game of the season, and it was pretty dead until the goal went in, wasn't it, to be fair?
Yeah, it was a bit of a funny atmosphere. I think, as we know, Nathan had a bit of a torrid trip up there with the drums. I think that getting there a little bit late didn't really help. But no, I think it was a funny atmosphere, really. I think Fleetwood actually played fairly well, and I think they, there's quite a cagey opening affair. And there's some frustration going on. There's a lot of sort of chances we didn't take, which led to frustration, as you probably heard in the second half from some of our fans. And then, I think the catalyst for actually generate some atmosphere was that fucking absolute dog shit referee that we had. But it's been another away game where the atmosphere hasn't really been there. The numbers have been there, but we're still struggling a little bit to actually generate an atmosphere. And I don't know whether that's...
Do you think that's because we've been playing so well? We kind of expect a performance every time we come out now.
There's a lot of expectation, and I don't think it's always warranted. There's a lot of every game I see frustration from our fans thinking that we're going to blow teams away from the opening 5 minutes. Teams know how good we are, and they're going to set up to frustrate us as fans, and by us getting frustrated gets on the team's back, puts more pressure on our team rather than the opposition. But I think there has been 1-0s have been a bit cagey. MK Don's second half was bloody nail biting stuff.
I would say that is the most nail biting we've been.
Yeah.
If I look at Gillingham and especially Fleetwood on Saturday, we looked like we were controlling the game. We looked in possession. I mean, one of the criticisms, Joey Barton came out and said we were a hoofball side, and I don't think I've seen more ball on the ground from Ipswich Town in the whole time I've ever watched them.
Well, we lumped it up a bit first half, and then you had that bloody Suter who's bloody 6'7", gigantic freak at the back. Then we started playing about and we looked comfortable. Barton's a bit of a wind-up march, and I think he's a bit sore still.
Well, I'll ask you this one, Kieron. To be fair, Joey Barton was left a bit red-faced on Saturday after his comments about Town, but he quickly switched his attentions to winding up Sunderland after they chose to take the international break off. because obviously their players are on international duty. Button took to the papers to say, oh, they're running scared of us. Why would they want to play us? We're playing so well. You've just gone and lost to Ipswich, and now you're beefing Sunderland. Surely they're going to lose again, aren't they?
Well, I mean, Sunderland have had a poor run of form, you have to admit, in comparison to where they should be playing, because they should be doing what we're doing, top of the table, sort of unbeaten. But with their form reason, they're now down into, I think, the 4th or 3rd, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think he's got a fair due to say that he might win.
Yeah.
But I can't agree that he's going to win.
No.
I think he's just doing that now just to pass blame away from his tactics playing on Saturday, because I couldn't watch the game. I was forced to listen to it on the radio because I couldn't make the journey. But from what I heard when listening to the game, we seemed to control that game. Yeah. Their players didn't exactly seem all that keen on scoring, from what I heard.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. They were nowhere near the goal. They had one snapshot chance where Ched Evans finally made it into the box to make an attempt to score, and the ball just went over him.
Yeah, not enough contact, which is usually not a problem for Ched Evans. Is extra touch,
Savage, Mark, savage. But they just didn't look threatening. Fleetwood, as a side, who was sitting third in the table, did not look threatening. Now, Wickham are the real test for me. I want to see what they could bring. Coventry, I want to see what they could bring. I'd still only agree that Peterborough are the one of the better sides in this division, and one that we haven't lost to, so we can walk away from that. We'll get on to Sunderland in a minute, but what do we think of John Nolan on Saturday, mate? Because his performance was, without a shadow of doubt, probably the best I've seen in Ipswich Town shirt.
Exactly what we bought him for. Is that sort of player. He's probably he was playing a 10, but I'd say he's more of an 8. He's very much all around. He's not afraid to do the dirty work, but you could see his quality. Robbed of an absolute stonewall penalty in that game.
Well, we could add 3 in that game.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really encouraging to see, and I think we've both said on the 12th man many times, he's the player we expect to hit double figures for goals, and he is a Rolls Royce of a midfielder. He's exactly what we need at this level, proven when he's in that Shrewsbury side how good he was. It's just getting that run of games hit with us, which I think he's now starting to show what he can do for us now.
Yeah, he's one of those players that I fear losing in January, purely because everyone underrates him so much. I don't think he won't be the first name on many people's team sheets. Well, this is where I'm come to, Kieron. So, we haven't spoken about this before anyone starts thinking about this, but John Nolan is a complete player in my opinion. What's your opinion about him?
I mean, the times I've seen him play, because I normally sit a bit close to the goal on the cobbled stand, the one on the left. Normally, he's playing sort of up ahead, but he's a brilliant player, and the number of times I've seen him score with perfect timed headers, perfect shots, is quite good for a player who's really not supposed to be scoring goals. I mean, he's a central mid, play on the left sort of stuff. He's not really the player to score goals, he's one to assist them, but he's done so well over the last 2 years that any other team, I'm pretty sure he'd be up in the playoff places in the Championship. But I think it's just because of the lack of experience for last season. We didn't really have much of a chance of staying up with it all. But I think he has got that ability to then push us back up again. Yeah. Because the headers he scored, I think it was against was it Tranmere he scored the header against? He did well to get in the box, to then power the header through, and he's also got great pace to get behind defenders, to take shots on goal as well. And he'd be first choice for an attacking midfield role in my team, despite that not being his position. He'd be straight in that position because he has that ability to play in that position.
Yeah, and I'd say a fully fit John Nolan would absolutely topple over Alan Judge any day. Andre Dazelle coming in, any of those players that want to push up into that. You've got to take in wingers into that situation as well, because if you're playing 2 up front, where are these wingers going to fit into the squad? They're going to have to play in width and play challenge with Kane Vincent-Young, or on the other side Luke Garbett, in my opinion. But 100%, and I think there needs to be credit where credit's due here. Paul Hurst brought in some of these players that we're really relying on at the moment, and you can't deny that his head was a year ahead, potentially a year ahead. We are in League One, that we never envisaged. What he did bring in was championship quality players, but without the experience to help him grow. Now, if you just need to look at players like Kane Jackson. He's finding his feet in League One, which is good. He's never, he's not really played in that division. You take the other ones that come back. You've got Toto Enciala and John Nolan, who have both played in League One. Were both very good players at this level with Shrewsbury Town. I mean, them three alone form somewhat of a backbone in our Ipswich Town side at any given time. I mean, those kinds of players. You've got Janoy Donassin as well. He's a very good right back at League One level. One who's very unfortunate, in my opinion, to not be in the squad. Obviously, given the transfer of Kane Vincent-Young coming in. Now, we'll get on to KVY in a minute a bit more, but do you think we done the right recruitment last summer? We just let the wrong ones go?
It's a very difficult one. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I was happy with all the signings when they came in. Yeah. Personally, that's an approach I love to actually see, bringing these players through from lower leagues. It's worked for many teams like Preston and Brentford. I think unfortunately we lost all our goals pretty much from the season before. And say what you will about McCarthy, he certainly had his favourites, and I think Hurst probably came in and upset the apple cart a bit, and unfortunately we never really recovered. Lambert was sort of trying to plug as many holes as he could, but ultimately we were sinking ship.
Do you think, this is an interesting question, never gets asked, that Lambert already knew we were down when he came in? His experience probably told. I think we all knew we were down. I mean, we had that game, what was it, against Preston? Lambert came in, and to be honest, you could see the change in the side almost instantaneously. That we were playing with some shape, we had some positions, everyone's playing, doing their jobs. It was good to have a leader in charge of a team. But being realistic, they probably already knew they were going down, and they were preparing for relegation in October last year. I can tell you that.
Yeah, definitely. I think the writing was on the wall. Some of the things that were happening, you just think, honestly, that odds are stacked up against us. To get Paul Gallagher to go in goal and save that worldie from Danny Rowe, you knew we're in trouble. I think the game I knew when we were down, I think it was Bristol City at home.
Yeah.
Outplayed them in the first half.
Since I started this channel, that's the only game I've never been able to get someone to speak to after the game.
Really? And then Jeju came on, and I said to the bloke next to me, I said, he's going to score. Guaranteed. He's definitely going to score. And then ended up winning the game. It's just typical. But and that's not a bad thing, as much as it's maybe we weren't fully invested in trying to stay up, we're fully invested in trying to get promoted this season, which, if you look at the start, you can't argue that plan has worked.
No.
He's given opportunities to these players, Nolan, Jackson. Okay, maybe not in full 90-minute displays, because you can't, as much as we were saying, he has been preparing for next season. You can't be as seen as to be going, right, well, we're going down in October, let's just get ready now. You sort of have to have a little bit of smoke and mirrors behind it. It's given them enough time, and I'm sure there's a lot of work going on the training ground with these players that we probably didn't see, and it's benefiting us now. So hopefully it'll stand us in good stead. One bad season could produce two good potentially. We could go up this year, and then who knows what happens next year as well. You're
right. So boys, let's just cast our mind back to this last season where we were sitting there and in our armchairs and watching Sunderland Till I Die, and a team who got relegated and had a lot of time to plan their recovery from League One. Similar start to the season as what we've had this year. Similar position. Come to January, sell their star striker for a few £1 million, and they lose 20 goals out of the side instantaneously. They then find themselves drawing every single week. Sunderland are a side that cannot get out of the right, in my opinion, and won't do until they change their ethos. And they've just gone and sacked Jack Ross. I mean, Kieron, let's start with you, mate. Does this put them in even more jeopardy to go up this season?
I think, I'm torn with Jack Ross, because he has got the tactical mind to, pull off a good win and do well at Sunderland. But I don't think he was given the proper resources by the board at Sunderland, because their entire idea is make money, make money, make money. And the problem with that, he didn't really have enough time and money himself to then rebuild a team that's being sold away for profit, essentially. And I mean, you say they sold their best striker. I think if they had kept that striker, there might have been, a couple more goals scored. But that rot, I think, just stuck with them too much.
But I have to stop you there, because Jack Ross had 3 transfer windows in charge of Sunderland, okay? He had more time than any manager would be given. So you can understand from Sunderland's point of view the frustrations which they went through. Where they went wrong is they spent £4 million on the least prolific striker in the whole of the 4 divisions, and that's Will Grigg. I mean, he has sporadic seasons where he plays well. More of a Daryl Murphy, I would say, kind of player. But did they buy the wrong kind of player?
I don't think they bought the wrong kind of player. I think they bought too few. With Will Grigg, he only works well with a team of players that work to him.
Yeah.
When he was at Wigan, he was exceptional. He worked day in, day out, scoring goal after goal. But now he's come to Sunderland, he's sort of working on the presumption that Wigan's going to work there, and it isn't. Because Sunderland's team are based upon the idea of pass forward, score. But his idea is pass to me, score.
Yeah.
And I think if they had used that 4 million on 4 players, not 4 million on 1, I think they probably would have done a lot better. Because that's come in the idea of, spending too much on one rather than spending too little on many. I mean, Ipswich Town are great at that. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, I think we paid $1 million for 10 players in total, and we won the league.
Yeah.
So I think it comes to a point where they have to realise, do we want, one great player, or do we want a team of good players?
Yeah, very good point. Very good point you come up with there. I mean, we've spent well. Yeah. I mean, look at what we spent in the summer. Virtually nothing, really. Yeah. If you look at it, James Norwood coming in, they'll be on hefty contracts, but I mean, we can manage that. Thomas Holy being the other freebie. The only one we spent money on really was KVY, and I mean, both KVY and Holy have been named for the PFA Fans Player of the Month award. Make sure, well, to be honest, by the time this airs tomorrow night, one of them would have won it. I'm really I'm that confident. Which one I'm even more confident about. But the award in itself is something that I got to help present to James Norwood last month. Hopefully you've seen the video, that's out now. But who is your winner, boys?
You know my answer straight away. It's a certified baller. It's Kane Vincent-Young. It's just been a breath of fresh air on that. I sound like Harry Redknapp there. Down that right hand side.
For fresh air.
But best right back we've had probably since Wilness. There's been a lot made about David Wright, but come on. Yeah. When do you see David Wright doing 2 step overs and then thrashing the squad at Uno as well? He's in a class of his own. Holy should feel hard done by, but he's getting that golden glove at the end of the season, so you don't need to worry about that.
I'd argue in history you probably have to come up with a few names to battle against the likes of Burley, I would say, in a championship winning side, where it came to the FA Cup and the UEFA Cup. But I mean, this guy has undoubtedly got
a set of bollocks on him.
An incredible talent. And how he left the Premier League for League 2 absolutely bemuses me. And how he stayed there that long, he just can't have been playing that well, could he, Kieron?
I mean, the games that I saw him playing, he wasn't anywhere near as good as I've seen him play. I mean, I've seen him run down the wing in 10 seconds, but when he was at Colchester, he'd do it in about 30. Yeah. Because I think with Colchester, he had to play with himself. He didn't really have much of a team to work with, which I think is why they got relegated a few years back. But he has that talent now, and he has that experience now to really push on forward. And I think in a couple of years he'll be back in the Prem, either with us or with someone else.
It's a big club. That's why I wouldn't. Why would you put the effort in at Cole U? You're playing for biggest side in East Anglia. You got to put the effort in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, he's just quality. I mean, we talk about him every week. I mean, it's probably starting to get boring because. What can we talk about that hasn't already been covered? I mean, one thing we haven't talked about is obviously Norwood's operation. Now, Very little's been made of this, but it seems to me to be more than meets the eye. Now, Norwood's missed 9 one-on-ones this season, and they're the ones I can remember. And most recently on Saturday at Fleetwood. Now, what immediately happened after that one is that he came off. And it seemed to be the injury that he was carrying that is causing him to, ironically, miss these one-on-ones. Now, after such a high-flying start, and let's just say he wasn't playing his best football at the time, it's now dipped to a point where very little contributions being made in the game. He's winning a few challenges. He's putting a good pass in here and there, but he's not where he needs to be, and that's in that 18-yard box. How long would you wait to see a fit James Norwood come back into this side if we had to?
I'd probably give him a trial as soon as he's ready, like a sort of 30-minute game at the end. I'd bring him on as a sub. If he does well, put him in, say, a full half, and then see how it goes from there. But I think Norwood's sort of realising the magnitude of this league now, because he was in the conference, did brilliantly with Tranmere, went to League 2, did brilliant with Tranmere, came up to League 1, started brilliantly, got a niggling injury, and now he's sort of faltering back down again. He's sort of thinking, this is sort of not working anymore. And I think we've only really got, 3 strikers in the first team, him, Jackson and Keane, who you'd, immediately say, oh, they can go in. All the rest of them are youth players or, reserves that are still coming back from their injuries. And I think you have to look at the idea of who can go in for him. So either we play with a single striker, or we risk it with Keane, risking another injury, or we have a look at what Norwood can do after coming back.
Yeah. I mean, in that time, we could, if it does go on longer than we think. He's just had an operation, let's not forget. They say it's going to be back for Accrington. I know for a fact he'll be on the bench in that game, because that's just how it works. But there's players such as Freddie Sears that could come back. And I think Freddie, this is his level. This is the campaign. I mean, he'll come back all guns blazing. The bloke is just not, one-on-one king. He'll put away any ball you put in front of him. Very rare that you see Freddie Sears miss one. But last season he was coming into his own. I mean, if we hadn't lost Freddie Sears to injury, I'm sure we'd have been in a different position.
Yeah, I think this Norwood injury, I think it's been rolling on since the start of the season. Wouldn't be surprised if it was picked up in, it's been saying it's been a niggling injury that he's had at Tranmere. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it got a major tweak in pre-season that we didn't know about. He missed that Notts County game, maybe around that sort of time. But I said on Saturday, I stood with Andy, I said he don't look fit.
No.
He don't look fit. And this is maybe for the best. I'd rather lose Norwood for 3-4 games now than in the running when we need him, because he can score goals. It's, whether these one-on-ones are related to the injury or not, or whether it's the step in the league, strikers will score goals. I mean, when he's a confident player will score goals. We're in a luxurious position where, at the minute, we're clear at the top of the league. We've got time to sort of reassess and actually give these players a bit more time. If it means Dobra is going to get a bit more game time, then I'm all for it. Especially now, especially what we've seen from Dobra. He's played 3 games, well, 2.5. Like the best player on the pitch in all 3.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got options. How we use them and how we utilise those options is definitely a way forward. A few points just before we finish off now. Obviously, Coventry Clash has been moved back to the Saturday. I can't remember when it was. December, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the 8th.
Yeah,
now 7th.
Moved to the 7th of December. Wycombe game's obviously been moved to November 26th. So they're all within a week of each other then, 2 weeks. But yeah, that means we've got a week off now, so no game to build up on the 12th man this week. We've got some time off, so I'll enjoy that. Go out for a drink on Friday night, hopefully. The next episode we filmed at the Dove in Ipswich. It doesn't coincide with the On the Road show that's going on at the Dove on that night. Just to make that clear, so we'll be in a separate part of the pub doing our own thing. chatting about Ipswich. Ironically, it just happens to be the same date. Mark, we need to work on that next time, mate.
We do.
But if you're there, just come and say hello. In the meantime, we're celebrating 2K subscribers this weekend, but we really want to push on to the 3K. So thank you for all your support. But in the meantime, come on you Blues.
Come on.